Japanese fighter pilots once ruled the Pacific, confident their Zeros were untouchable. Then came a new enemy, an American monster they called the Hellcat. It could shrug off their gunfire. The bullets bounced off them and outclimb even Japan's best. Suddenly, aces who had been hunters became the hunted, their hard-won tactics useless against a machine built for speed, firepower, and mass production. Morale shattered as rookies and Hellcats shot down veterans, and whispers spread. Was Japan's era of aerial supremacy over for good? This is the untold story behind the Japanese fighter pilots who feared this 400-mile-per-hour American monster, how a single aircraft flipped the balance of power, and what happened the moment fear took wing. Saburo Sakai scans the horizon, sweat stinging his eyes. Once, the sight of American fighters meant easy kills. Now, something else stalks the skies. A machine neither his bullets nor his training can stop. The news spreads fast. A rookie named Duncan just took down Sueda, a seasoned Japanese ace, by following him straight up, a move that should have left any enemy stalling and helpless. Except the Hellcat kept coming. Sakai's own guns, 500 rounds pouring into Grumman metal, did nothing. A Zero would have been a ball of fire by now, he mutters, disbelief tightening his chest. No one trusts their old tricks. Pilots return from sorties shaken, recounting stories of American planes absorbing shattering hits and outclimbing the hunters. In the mess halls, nervous laughter tries to drown out the panic rising behind every glance. The phrase echoes, the guns bounced off them. Morale, once unbreakable, starts to slip. Veterans wonder if their edge, their invincibility, is gone. Next sorties, the cockiness is missing. Now every takeoff carries a shadow. Will anything work against this new monster? Lieutenant Commander John Thack leans over his kitchen table, sliding matchsticks into patterns that might save lives. He's hunting for a way to keep his outgunned pilots alive against Zero aces who seem to own the sky. What he discovers will turn the entire war upside down. The tactic is simple, at least on paper. Two Hellcats fly parallel, weaving toward and away from each other like gears in a watch. The moment a Zero dives on one, the other swings in behind the attacker, forcing Japanese pilots into a deadly crossfire. This move, soon called the Thackweave, doesn't demand years of training or sharp reflexes. It just requires trust and timing. Thack's own squadron tests it over the Solomons, and for the first time, rookies start returning from battles with kill marks on their fuselages. Veterans who once relied on instinct and solo duels now find themselves outmaneuvered by American teams working in perfect sync. Japanese pilots, used to chasing lone prey, now struggle to keep up as the Hellcats pull each other out of trouble and strike back with overwhelming force. What once felt like a contest of individual skill becomes a brutal math of cooperation and firepower. On the ground, Thack's matchsticks gather dust, but in the air above the Pacific, his idea shatters the old order. At the Grumman factory in Bethpage, sparks flew day and night. The Hellcat was not built for beauty or pedigree, every rivet and weld aimed at one thing: numbers. In just 2.5 years, Grumman's lines rolled out 12,275 F6F Hellcats, more than 8 for every single Kawanishi N1K Japan could muster. Each hour, another fighter left the floor, ready for the carrier decks of the Pacific. Grumman's engineers called it the Ironworks for a reason. Prototypes left the drafting table and reached combat squadrons before their blueprints even cooled. Japanese technicians, meanwhile, sweated over the N1K at Naruo, where skilled hands shaped each fighter in small batches. In 1944, peak production barely broke 100 planes per month. B-29 raids scattered assembly to dozens of makeshift sites, causing a 20% loss even as demand soared. The Shidenkai's design pushed the limits of craftsmanship, but every improvement meant more delays, more special parts, more strain on a shrinking workforce. By war's end, fewer than 1,500 N1Ks had ever left the line, many grounded by unreliable Homar engines or a lack of spares. While Japan's best engineers chased refinement, America flooded the sky with Hellcats, fast to build, easy to repair, and always arriving in overwhelming force. Flight instructors at Pensacola grinned when they watched a new recruit take his seat in the Hellcat. The cockpit, perched high above the wing, offered a clear view of the deck, a simple but crucial advantage for carrier landings. Every control, from throttle to cowl flaps, sat within easy reach. Grumman engineers had not just built a machine, they designed a workspace where even a 19-year-old from Nebraska, with barely 200 hours behind him, could land on a moving ship and walk away smiling. Gone were the long checklists and twitchy takeoffs that haunted earlier planes. The Hellcat's broad landing gear shrugged off hard touchdowns. Foldable wings, locked into place with a single handle, meant more fighters on crowded decks and faster turnarounds between missions. Carrier qualification, once the realm of seasoned veterans, was now within reach for thousands of new pilots. Each farm boy who climbed out of the cockpit ready for combat was proof that the war in the air no longer belonged to a select few. It belonged to anyone who could see over the dash, follow orders, and keep a steady hand on the stick. Night brought no comfort. Japanese crews once expected darkness to hide their approach, but now mysterious blips tracked them from beyond sight. Hellcats, fitted with APS-6 radar pods under their wings, began hunting after sunset. November 18, 1943, pilots from VFN 76 intercepted 5 Betty bombers over the Pacific, shooting them down in a sweep that stunned both sides. The Bettys went down in flames, Wellwood and Lefevre guiding their attacks by radar glow alone. Every radio crackled with the news. Not even night skies were safe anymore. Just days later, Butch O'Hare launched on a night patrol from USS Enterprise, leading the first carrier team ever to hunt by radar. Tracers stitched the dark, a Betty's gunner firing blind. Then, O'Hare's Hellcat vanished without a trace. Some say it was enemy fire. Others whisper about friendly guns in the confusion. Either way, the message spread fast. By night or day, the American monster was everywhere and nowhere to hide. The Shidenkai soared onto the scene with 4 20mm cannons and automatic combat flaps, a technical marvel in a shrinking arsenal. Veteran crews squeezed every ounce of performance from engines that seized mid-fight, while parts shortages left many N1Ks grounded. Each sortie became a gamble, as Allied raids scattered factories and fresh replacements never arrived. For the last Japanese ace pilots, mastery was no longer enough. The sky filled with Hellcats, and even their finest fighter could not turn the numbers game around. By 1945, over 12,000 Hellcats had rolled off American assembly lines, each designed for rapid training and brutal reliability. Japanese aces described their shock, recalling, "Our guns bounced off them." The arrival of the Hellcat and tactics like the Thackweave ended Japanese aerial dominance, turning skilled veterans into outmatched survivors. U.S. pilots, with just 200 hours of training, achieved kill ratios of nearly 19-1, evidence that industrial scale and ergonomic design could overwhelm craftsmanship. When the advanced N1K Shidenkai finally reached the front, chronic engine failures and shattered supply lines meant it was too late. Many Japanese records about pilot morale and unit losses remain classified or lost. Yet, the documented shift from Zero to Hellcat marked more than a technological victory. It showed how mass production and teamwork could decide a war. In the Pacific skies, the Hellcat's legacy endures as proof that even the best pilots cannot win alone against the weight of industry and innovation.